Let's talk about Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals. I want to start this video off by talking about Mike Brown, who is the owner and the general manager with this organization. You may hear a name like Duke Tobin in the media. He's more so of a scout in the front office. He's not the general manager with the Bengals. Mike Brown is. It's similar to the Dallas Cowboys and Jerry Jones, how he controls everything. Now, Mike Brown and Duke Tobin, they deserve a lot of credit for drafting Joe Burrow, Ja'Marr Chase, and T. Higgins. They've done a phenomenal job on the offensive end, but their defensive selections have been terrible over the last few years. You paid Ja'Marr Chase, that's great. You paid T. Higgins, that's awesome. And the same with Joe Burrow a few years back. You're solidifying your offense. They're one of the best offensive teams in football, but you're 9-8 in back-to-back years. Your defense has been your Achilles heel. And before I really dig into the offense here, I want to focus in on the defense. Trey Hendrickson has been asking for a contract extension for now 2 years in a row, and they're not willing to give him the market value. They offered him $30 million a year. That's a slap in the face. When you look at how much money TJ Watt is getting paid, TJ Watt is getting paid $41 million a year. Now, you may say that's crazy, but TJ Watt's one of the best offensive players in football. Myles Garrett, he's getting paid a lot of money as well. Remember, he asked for a trade from the Cleveland Browns. They decided to put more money in his pocket so that trade can go to the wayside. TJ Watt is going to be a Steeler for life. Myles Garrett's going to be a Brown for life. You know who has outproduced both of those players statistically over the last 2 seasons? Trey Hendrickson. Really, over the last 3 years, he's done it. He's led the league in sacks in back-to-back years. He's been the best edge rusher in football, and he deserves to make $40+ million a year. And I understand where Mike Brown is coming from. We just paid Joe Burrow a few years ago. We're paying T. Higgins. We're paying Ja'Marr Chase. But hey, let's pause here for a second. This is why the Philadelphia Eagles are one of the best organizations in all of sports. They paid their players early. They paid A.J. Brown a lot of money early on. They paid Devontae Smith a lot of money early on. So they don't price themselves out in the future. But you kick the can down the road with Ja'Marr Chase. You kick the can down the road with T. Higgins. They franchise tagged T. Higgins. You could have paid him sooner and extended his contract with the Bengals, but you didn't. So now you have to go out there and use a franchise tag not once but twice just to keep him around. Then you pay him his money. You play around with these players, you're going to price yourself out. The market is competitive. This is why a lot of owners, especially the one with the Philadelphia Eagles, he wants to pay his players as soon as possible because he knows as soon as someone else gets paid, we have to go out there, we have to go over that number, and that's going to hurt us in cap value. Right now, where the Bengals find themselves in, you're paying Joe Burrow top quarterback money, the same with Ja'Marr Chase, the same with T. Higgins. You may not be able to afford Trey Hendrickson long term, and he is getting older, but he's not slowing down. This would be a different case if you had another edge rusher that could step in and give you some similar production. They don't have that guy. And Trey, he's not going to go out there on the field this year and play for only $16 million. We're talking about TJ Watt, who's making $41 million for this upcoming season. Myles Garrett, who's going to make $40 million for his upcoming year. He's going to only make 16. And I know you can honor the contract, you can go by that code, but it is pretty messed up, especially with this organization. And Mike Brown has a history of doing this. Now, in the past, when Trey requested that trade, he took it back. He played last year with the Bengals. This time, he's not participating in training camp. He's not stepping onto the field until he gets that brand new contract. And a report came out last night that the Bengals are willing to trade him now. This is ridiculous up to this point. I don't think that they're going to pay him at all. If they were going to go out there and pay him, they would have paid him by now, 2-3 months ago, a year ago. They don't see him at the high-end value. And I look at other teams in the NFL, maybe the Packers, maybe they'll go out there and make a trade to bring him in, and you can bring back one of their young edge rushers. But you need Trey on this team to make that Super Bowl push. You have a Super Bowl ready offense, but your defense is one of the worst defenses in football. Outside of Trey, you have Shemar Stewart, who you did draft in the first round. Shemar Stewart, I think that he's going to be a phenomenal player long term coming from Texas A&M, but he missed time in the offseason from workouts because of his contract dispute with this front office. Because of the language in his contract. Mike Brown comes out, he said, if he's sitting in jail, I don't want to pay him. Well, that's the risk that you run with just owning a football team. And the reason why he's having problems with Shemar Stewart and that contract at the time is because of Jermaine Burton. We'll talk about that when we get more into the offensive things. But when you take a deeper look at Shemar Stewart and his numbers, only 4.5 sacks in 3 years. He didn't have the high sack production total that you're looking for at the college level. And it's going to take time for him to translate that over to the NFL level. They need him to go out there and to be that star pass rusher immediately. And I don't think that he's going to be that guy straight out the gate. And that's unfair to ask of him. But he's a very good run stopper. He can put a lot of pressure on the opposing quarterback coming over from the college level. Myles Murphy, he hasn't been that first round pick that you were hoping for. You selected him in the first round. He hasn't lived up to that hype. He's still young, but you need more production out of him. Sam Hubbard, he retired. You were going to go out there and release him anyway. He was more so of a run stopper. He wasn't able to get to the quarterback on a consistent basis. You need to have a good pass rush to make your secondary work. Because if a quarterback has all day inside the pocket, you're at their mercy. I don't even care if the quarterback is just some type of mid-tier quarterback. We've seen this in today's NFL. If you can't make that quarterback uncomfortable, they will slice and dice you up on the back end. Cornerbacks can't cover forever. And it has historically been proven throughout the years of this league. Look at the quarterbacks in this division. Lamar Jackson, two-time MVP, one of the best quarterbacks in football. Aaron Rodgers, he can still sling the football around. He's coming off a solid season with the New York Jets in terms of his numbers. It was a losing season for the Jets, but he can still throw the football around. The Cleveland Browns, they have Joe Flacco being their starter. He's had some big-time moments before. But we all know how that story is going to end with Joe Flacco. He may not be the starter for the entire season with Cleveland, but he's a veteran quarterback. You have to put pressure on those people up front. If I'm the Cincinnati Bengals, I would pay Trey Hendrickson. And you can backload this contract if you want to. But it seems like Mike Brown, he's stuck on only wanting to pay this man $30 million a year. That's a slap in the face to Trey. You can't go into week one with him still being on this roster and him holding out. It will be a dark cloud over this entire organization. And I blame it all on Mike Brown. I really do. And I also look at it from the standpoint, did you really need to pay T. Higgins that much money? Now, T. Higgins is a phenomenal wide receiver. He's a true number one in my opinion. You have him, you have Jamar Chase. That's a deadly duo on the outside. But when you have an all-time great in Joe Burrow, do you really need T. Higgins to help your offense get to that next level? We've seen T. Higgins miss games in the past. Jamar Chase was still that guy on this roster. We've seen Jamar Chase miss time in the past. T. Higgins became that number one guy. You have Yoshi Vash, who's a very good number 3 wide receiver, coming off a very strong season last year. Jermaine Burton. I think that Jermaine Burton can be a very good player coming over from Alabama, but his rookie season was so weird. He has so many problems off the field. He has so many issues, getting evicted from his apartment, just doing a bunch of dumb things, just so immature, showing up late for meetings, showing up late to walkthroughs. They need him to get his head into the game. This may be his last season in the NFL if he can't wake up, but there's a lot of talent there with him. So I understand why you want to pay T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, both of those guys. Joe Burrow, he loves them. But at the end of the day, you can't get to the Super Bowl with Joe Burrow going out there and having 40-plus touchdowns in a season. And with the defense being bottom 5 year in and year out, it's not going to work. And we've seen quarterbacks like this before in the past. Look at Drew Brees with the New Orleans Saints. Had a lot of historic seasons. He won a Super Bowl. But when his defenses were bad, they could barely get to the playoffs. And being 9-8 in the last 2 years, that's not going to get it done in the AFC North. Say what you want to say about the Baltimore Ravens and the Steelers. They are complete football teams. The Ravens, they can run the football. They can play very good defense. They can air you out. The Steelers, their offense has always been a problem since Big Ben retired. And even that last year, Big Ben. But their defenses have been very good. They can smother you on the back end. They can get to the passer with TJ Watt and with Alex Highsmith. I can't say the same with the Bengals defense. And the reason why so many people in the national media and so many content creators, they come out and they say that Joe Burrow is one of the best quarterbacks in football, that I would hate to face Joe Burrow when he's red hot. We've seen this man carry this franchise on his back with Jamar Chase, with Joe Mixon, with T. Higgins, don't get me wrong here, to a Super Bowl against the Los Angeles Rams. He was the most sacked quarterback in the postseason, most sacked quarterback in the regular season. And they still got to the Super Bowl against the Rams, and it was still a close game. It came down to terrible offensive line protection, and that's not on Joe Burrow. That's on mismanagement by the front office. Amarius Mims, I think that he's going to be a very good tackle long term. Orlando Brown, he's solid at the left tackle position. Mike Gesicki should be a very good tight end. I'm not worried about their offense at all, even if they're dealing with injuries to the wide receivers or even to the running back room, because Joe Burrow is so great. Chase Brown's a solid running back to have. Him and Samaje, and you drafted Taj Brooks out of Texas Tech. He was a true bell cow at Texas Tech. Do I think all of that talent is going to translate over to the NFL? No. But Chase Brown can give you a lot of good production. They need their defense to be better. And you just fired Coach Lou. He's now your former DC. You're bringing in Al Golden from Notre Dame. Al Golden did a very good job at Notre Dame. We'll see if he can help out this defense, but he needs good defensive players all around. They need Myles Murphy to take that next step. They need TJ Sladen to be a very good player in the interior. They need Shamar Stewart to come out the gate and to be that superstar. You have Joseph Asai. He has solid moments, but he's not consistent. Their best and their most consistent defensive player has been Trey. And outside of him, you are in a whole bunch of trouble. Logan Wilson is a very good linebacker, can tackle in space, can do very good things in coverage for you. Demetrius Knight, I like him a lot. There's a lot of upside there with him being a young player with this defense. Their secondary, Geno Stone, it took some time for him to get going. With the Baltimore Ravens, 2 years ago, phenomenal safety. Last year with the Bengals, he was up and down. Towards the back half of the season, he played very well. They need him to be that playmaking safety. Daxton Hill, he hasn't been that star that they were looking for coming out of Michigan. And I know that they've played around with him in the secondary in terms of being a safety, in terms of being a nickel cornerback and playing at outside corner. And he's dealt with injuries. He needs to be better. Cam Taylor-Britt, he's not a true number one corner. He's solid. DJ Turner, he's solid as well. They don't have terrible defensive players at every position. But if Trey's not going to be part of this roster for this upcoming year, it's hard for me to believe that this defense is going to be better than what they were last season. And therefore, the Cincinnati Bengals won't be better than what they were last year, finishing 9-8. And I know that Zach Taylor, he's doing everything that he can. He's going out there. He's playing stars in the preseason now for just a couple of drives. He's playing Joe Burrow. He's playing Jamar Chase and T. Higgins because they get to a quote-unquote slow start early on. That is true. But even playing them in the preseason, that may not even help. This is just a team that is just being let down by their front office year in and year out. And I know that Zach Taylor did help them get to that Super Bowl a few years ago against the Los Angeles Rams. I'm not the biggest fan of Zach Taylor as a head coach. As an offensive mind, I think that he's very good. He's very solid. As a head coach, the jury is still out. Let's not forget, this is the same organization that let Marvin Lewis be the head coach with this team for many years because he was a cheaper option and they could keep him around. Now, I don't think that Zach Taylor is a terrible head coach, but when you have a quarterback like Joe Burrow, you should be going all in before that rookie contract ran out, and they didn't do that. That goes down to the front office. I wish that Mike Brown would sell the team, and this is no shade towards Cincinnati Bengals fans, and the same with the players. You have great players on this roster, but that defensive end is just not good enough. So if they can't make the NFL playoffs this year, a lot of things have to change. And I wish that Mike Brown could sell the team. But let me know in the comment section below how you feel about the Cincinnati Bengals entering this upcoming season. If you're new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. If you like the video, hit the like button. Most importantly, want each and every last one of you guys stay safe, stay positive. Thanks for the video, guys. God bless.